In this video, I'm going to go through a solution of the lab that we did today. It's lab 2. So this one was about creating a student gradebook manage or student management system of some sort using a struct, then using an array of structs. Okay, so I just wanted to go through this. You probably didn't have time to get all the features that you would want, but it's an interesting problem and it points out some issues that we'll have to deal with as we go through the rest of the class as far as data structures. Okay. So you see in my code here, I start with the struct with the string for the name and for the ID and a double for the grade. Okay. So I made the decision, and you certainly can make a different decision, to go ahead and set up the size being a constant integer. There's always the possibility of 100 students. Also, we have to be able to keep track of where we are in the array. So when we're adding a new one, we have to add it at the end. Okay. So I'm using another global variable called count that's initially 0. There are 0 students, and the next array position to be filled is 0. If there were 10 students, they would be 0 through 9 in their indexes, and 10 would be the next um, index to add to the array. Okay. I've also chosen here to have the array itself be global. Every single function we're going to deal with in this program all deal with the array, right? So we could pass it back and forth every time, but there's not really a need. In this case, we're not hiding it from anything. We're just going to make it global and it's going to be fine. Okay. So then let's take a look. I'll skip this. We'll come back over it again. Some of the decisions that I made. Okay, so let's go down to the menu. The menu, I just have a function, which I typically do, which is going to print out the menu since it's going to do it a bunch of times. Prints out the menu. It gets the answer of which item they want. It then returns it. I'm not doing any checking. Probably should. Okay, but I'm not. Okay. And then in main, I'm just setting up some variables I'm going to need. And then I'll just start on the switch. And then I've got for case 1, you add student, case 2, and so forth. Okay. So let's start with that add student. Okay, we'll go up a bit. Note, I did not put these at the bottom. It would have been easier to read if I did, but I didn't. Okay. So on the add student, I have some variables I'm going to need here. Okay. And I was doing this differently before. And what it came to me that it didn't say in the code, in the specification itself, and we're starting to see that trend, right? We're seeing less detail. That's on purpose. It's getting more to the point where you have some creativity and you have some flexibility in making these programs work. So you can add your own criteria and make decisions. Okay. So in this case, I wanted to not have the case where I could enter two people with the same ID. Okay. So to do that, I have to enter the student name, ID, and grade. I do that first. Then I check for duplicates. I could have asked for the ID first, but that seemed weird. And it seemed weird to ask for the name and the ID, but not the grade. So I go ahead and do that first. And then I just don't let them do it if the ID is wrong. A more developed system, it may need to ask for it again or whatever, but I'm not. I'm just saying that it's a void function anyway. So it's going to not, I just hit return, not going to be an issue. Okay. But if there is, so again, if it's not a duplicate, then I go ahead and create the student. Some of the people had problems with this. We create an array of student objects, okay, but there are no students in them. So you still have to create the student. So I'm creating a student ST here. I'm then adding in the name, the ID, and the grade they just typed in. I'm then adding that to the count position. The first time it'll be 0. I'm then increasing the count to 1. There's now 1 student, okay? So that's kind of how that one works. The display, mostly pretty straightforward. I'm just going to display, again, I didn't do a clear screen. That would have made it nicer, but I didn't. I just put in a couple of new line characters and a little line there, okay? I'm going to go through from I equals 0 up to the count. How many students do we have, okay? And then I'm going to print out the name, tab, the ID, tab, the grade, okay? Simple enough. I do have this complexity here about -99, which we'll get to in a second, okay? But let's talk about search first. So the search, the first time I wrote this search function, I had to go through, look for the ID, find it, print out the information, because that's what the problem said that we had to do. But the more I thought about it, because then I went to the update student or the delete student. Both of those require that we find the student, right? We do a search. rather than rewrite that search code 3 times, I just made search lighter weight. And I had to shift some of the code I had there into the actual case statements. Okay. So all the search is going to do, it's going to take the search ID, it's going to go through the entire list. Okay. As soon as it finds it, so as soon as the current iteration, the current position, the current array sub I, okay, when the ID of that student is equal to the SID, we return that I, we return the position. Okay. If it never finds it, then we return this -99 here at the end. Okay. So we can use that when we're doing the other things. So now let's look at what happens with the update. We'll get back to the issue with displaying here in a minute. So for the update, it says to let them update the grade only. Okay. So when we're going to send it to update with an SID, the student ID, the search ID. Okay. I'm going to get their position, do a search, see where it's at in the list so I know which record I'm dealing with. Okay. There aren't going to be more than one because we're not allowing duplicates. Okay. If the position is equal to 99, -99, then I drop down to here and say the ID is not found and I'm done. Okay. It's a void function. But if it's not equal to -99, I know that I found it. So then I'm going to put out on the screen, update record for the person's name. Then I'm going to ask for a new grade and then I enter that new grade into the record. Okay. Again, I'm not checking if they're doing numbers, if their numbers are reasonable. Probably should be, but I'm not. There's enough going on with this one. Okay. So now we get to the real problem, I think, of these functions, and that's the delete student. Okay. So let's say you've got 20 students in class and you want to delete a student. Which one do you want to delete? You want to delete the one that's at position 10. Okay. So we now have an empty record at position 10. Okay. So what do we do about it? I mean, one way you could deal with it, which I think becomes computationally too expensive, I could take what's at 11 and move it to 10, and what's at 12 and move it to 11 all the way to the end. Okay. And that would accomplish the goal of not wasting any memory, but it would be difficult. It'd be a pain to code and would be expensive to run. Okay. So we're not going to do that. So instead, we're going to assume that memory is not so precious. Okay. So what I'm going to do when I find the ID that they're wanting to delete, if it's not there, of course, I've got my else saying ID not found. But if it is there, okay, so it's not equal to -99, it's going to be some position. I'm then going to change the array at that position, the element at that array position. I'm going to print out first off the name saying it's being deleted, and then I'm going to change the ID to -99. I'm not clearing out the name, not clearing out the grade, but that -99 means this is a deleted record. Okay. Which is fine. But when I did that and went to do my display, those -99 still appeared. Okay. Hence, my display students has to have a line in here as I'm going through the list. As long as it's not -99, print it out. If it is -99, just go to the next one. Okay. And that does it. So we can take a quick run through of this to see what it looks like. Already compiled it. So it just pops up here. Okay, I can add a student. Got Bob, got 1, 2, 3, 4. Got grade that says a 7.8. Okay, add another student. I'm going to add Alice. She is 3, 4, 5, 6. Her grade is 8.3. Okay, I could display those. We're good. Okay, if I try to add another one, let's say add Jerry, that also has a 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and their grade is whatever their grade is. It tells me here that I cannot have a duplicate IDs. Okay, do a display. We're still good. Okay, search. If I search for a 1, 1, 1, 1, nope, student not found. Okay, what if I search for a 3, 4, 5, 6? Yeah, we found it. It's there. Again, it prints and then it does the menu again. So it could be improved, but that's basically okay. Okay, want to update a record? So we want to update the 1, 2, 3, 4. Update grade for Bob. Enter new grade. Say I want an 8.8. Okay, display those. We're good. Okay, and then if I want to delete a record, say I want to delete the 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if I do a check, it says here Bob's deleted. There we go. Bob is gone. Okay. Exit the program. Okay. So the video just kind of let you know how I would have solved the problem. I didn't expect you to get that far today, but the issue we're facing here is one of when we delete, we have a hole. So some of the data structures we're going to be talking about don't have that problem. So we'll talk about that when we get there. Okay. So if you want to modify yours just because, you certainly can. But if you worked the whole time in lab, then you should be fine entirely.